Hello, beautiful souls. Today's message is really, really grounding into what energies you feel. We've spent the last 3 months, as I'm recording this, it's March, right? We have spent the last 3 months from December to March. This is the weaving of darkness, shifting our subconscious patterns, beliefs, scarcity loops, self-sabotaging habits is what a lot of people call them. And I look at them as being much different because when we're operating in our shadows, which is 90% of the time, when we've had woundings or childhood experiences or family conditioning, societal conditioning woven into the subconscious, that is how we're living out our daily life and daily consciousness. And through this December to March, we have been unweaving these threads in our consciousness. We've been unweaving these habits and woundings and scarcity patterns and fear loops from our subconscious. What some would call shadow work, I like to bring in shadow alchemy, because that's taking the pressure off of poking and poking and poking at our shadows, our triggers, our wounds, our anxieties, and bringing it to a surface of being seen and being heard within ourselves. And also bringing it to the space of you have your own seat at the table, right? And when we bring ourselves to have a seat at the table, all of us is valid. All of us has great ideas. Yes, I said all of us because we have different parts of our character, different parts of our past life, different parts of our inner child. And a lot of times we just want to be seen and heard. Are you allowing yourself to be seen and heard throughout these expressions as they're shifting? Many people live in sleeping consciousness. They live in places of existing, just doing the daily mundane things and making it from one day to another and making it from one paycheck to another and making it from one energy to another, one relationship to another, which is a very habitual way of living. For humans, this is normal and natural. We look for a society, we look for a partner, we look for some sort of family. We look for some sort of way to support ourselves, stability, money, finances, and food, right? We look for a place of belonging and we look for a place of purpose. These are 9 fundamental needs, and I'm not sure if I named them all, but I named enough. These are fundamental needs that all of us are seeking. We're all seeking them. We all want to be loved and touched and supported and seen and heard, and we want to have money and food and support and all the things. Where are you lacking those within yourself? Do you have a seat at your own table? And how many other people are you bringing in to help while also still self-sacrificing? So this big energy for this next little while is truly continuing to look at these spaces. Yes, we have all the planets out of retrograde, but the universe has shown me by April 16th to the 18th, the middle of April 2026, these energies are going to be shedding. And whatever it is you're listening to these messages, these are timeless messages, but it's a few weeks, right? When we're working through the subconscious, it takes time. It takes energy. It takes consciousness. It takes acceptance, allowing, and flow to work through the subconscious. It's water. It's darkness. It's hidden. It's the little fine threads within our consciousness that we don't see. It's the little fine threads within ourselves that we don't fully understand. I had this really powerful experience with one of my sisters where we have been weaving together, and we had an experience back in December, which is beautiful. We're shifting through our own shadows and our own experiences, but I had something come up for myself of my dad was a very angry person when I was a kid, and in order for me to feel safe, I brought my dad coffee every morning, which seemed like a very small, beautiful gesture. But as a child, as a teenager, I did that to protect myself. So that very small, beautiful thread with a nice memory of having coffee with my dad I did it to protect myself. So he wasn't mad. He didn't wake up grumpy. That saved my whole day. That saved my whole life. So that small action of kindness or service created peace in my life. So where within your own experiences do you find yourself weaving those fine threads of our consciousness, weaving those experiences to control or manipulate a situation, right? Within this friendship, I found myself being Miss Nice Girl to support what I thought was her emotional growth and her emotional feelings, when really it wasn't supporting her. I was just protecting myself from rocking a boat with a friendship, right? And it's been a while now, right? Those systems come out of the darkness of why that happens. And instead of me speaking my truth and supporting her as a friend should, I allowed the energies to just go, right? I allowed the truth that I felt or saw to just sit there. And it didn't really bring growth. That doesn't bring growth. It doesn't bring change, right? I was acting in fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, right? Fear of hurting her feelings, which really was a leak of my own power, and also damaging the dynamics of the friendship because I was holding something back, right? We weren't in alignment anymore. Something so small has woven a huge thread of doubt or denial or abandonment or rejection wounds, right? Those wounds from our past are very subtle. They're very subtle threads, but it shows up in pressure or anxiety or trying to control a situation or continually being nice and feeling exhausted, or spaces of burnout, perfectionism, procrastination, avoiding a certain situation, a certain experience, a certain conversation. These are fine threads to a root cause of something. That root cause with me was like my inner child didn't want to be abandoned, right? Something so small. But it was manipulating the situation to protect myself. Seven of Swords energy, right? So these dark threads of psychology are woven into our consciousness. They're woven into our subconscious. And for many of us, this is how we wound people, which is heartbreaking because a lot of times we wound people that we care about and we don't know how to work our way through it. We are protecting ourselves. We're humans. It's normal. It's natural to protect ourselves. But when these threads are woven really fine in those inner child experiences, it can block growth in friendships. It can block growth in family unions. It can block growth in masculine, feminine dynamic, sexual unions, because we're not communicating with our truth. Rather, we're trying to protect ourselves or control the situation so we don't get hurt or hurt our other people. And that's not allowing a space of growth or flow or energy, right? When that energy is blocked, they both feel it subconsciously. We both feel it subconsciously. It's normal, it's natural, because energy has no beginning and no end. It has to flow. You ever notice when you're in a really beautiful relationship and you guys are just really clicking and you're doing really well, communication is really well, ideas are popping off of each other, you're supporting each other, communicating well, and then something happens and all of a sudden there's frustration and there's anger and there's resistance and there's like, what the fuck's your problem? Right? A lot of times those are our problems as well within ourselves, of those shadow aspects of the small little threads that we don't see. So I always bring it back to this. What are things in your childhood, habits, systems, parental experiences that caused alarm or a feeling of unsafety or an anxiety or an uncertainty? A lot of times those finer threads are woven in the way we experience our friendships. And a lot of times we want divine unions, right? We want deeper connections and soul tribe and supportive friendships and a great career and purpose. We want to feel like we're living in purpose. But these small threads could be keeping us in those scarcity loops and scarcity patterns. So really looking at our inner child habits and patterns and really being present within ourselves. Why do I feel frustrated? Why do I feel triggered? There's the shadow work, right? Why do I feel pressure? Why do I feel super grumpy, right? What are those finer threads of something that you're avoiding within yourself? Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I love you guys. I'm on to my next task. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day.